Hey, everybody, and welcome to Comics from the Far Future.
Whoa.
This is our special show where we're going to be talking about the future this year of comics.
Yeah, so last year during our 2024 look back, right at the very end, we talked about a few things that we were excited about for 2025. And that's what this is. We wanted to break it out into its own video because there's a lot of cool stuff. But there's also a lot of stuff we don't know about yet. So, we're going to talk about some of the DC and Marvel books that we're excited for, some TV shows and movies and stuff. But it's only like the first week of 2026.
Yeah.
So there's going to be so much more that we learn about as the year progresses. So this might seem like a smaller list, but it's all we have for now. I'm sure that we have not thought of everything.
Oh,
So
yeah.
definitely let us know what you're looking forward to, whether we mention it or not. Help us think of the things that we didn't think of. We tried to include all the things that we know about, but I'm sure there's something that's missed us. So yeah, let us know what you're excited for.
Yeah, this is going to be really fun because this is kind of us just riffing
Yeah.
and talking about what we're excited for. We're
Yeah.
going to start off with new DC books for 2026, which we know some, but
Yeah.
really, past almost not even to summer is kind of hazy past that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so we thought we'd start off with, instead of going through each one, we thought we would just start off with the DC Next Level initiative, which is piggybacking off the end of DCKO. We know DCKO is going to not change the universe. It's not a reboot. Don't worry about that. But we are getting a bunch of new books as a result of the end of DCKO, whatever that may be. And you can see some of them here: Batwoman, Deathstroke, a Firestorm, which I'm excited for, Zatanna, Lobo. So yeah, just excited for all of these that are coming. And there's some that haven't been announced. There's some that aren't on this graphic. We're getting a Jonah Hex. I think we're getting a Teen Titans.
yeah.
So we know that the first batch are Batwoman and Lobo and Deathstroke.
Yeah, those are fairly soon now.
Yeah, I want to say in March, I believe,
March.
because DCKO ends first week of March, and then all of this stuff is coming on the heels of that. So I'm just really looking forward to all of these. DC has made a concerted effort over the last couple of years to let the creators create. Editorials kind of stepping out of the way. Within reason, obviously, but the creators are doing their own thing. Scott Snyder has described all of these books as creator first, or does he say creator first or creator forward, I think. But
Yeah.
basically, the creators are getting to do what they want to do and tell the stories they want to tell, which is what they've been doing since the beginning of the All In initiative and maybe before that. And it shows
Yeah.
in the quality of books. So we're just getting a lot more of that with more characters. It's not just all Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. So I'm excited for each and every single one of these.
Yeah, and I like that, these are not all a Bat book. There's some, and they're not all even Superman books.
Yeah.
This kind of feels like when they did Challengers of the Unknown or The Question, like these are other characters that are some people's favorite characters that really get to have a spotlight where for years a lot of these characters were just kind of like sidelined.
Yeah. Yeah, we would wait to see. Hopefully, Firestorm is in the background of Justice League
Yeah.
Unlimited. Well, now he's going to get a whole book. So,
Do we know if some of these are ongoing and some are miniseries or anything like that?
yeah, like I believe Lobo's ongoing. So it's a mix.
Yeah.
Some are ongoing, some are miniseries. I don't quite remember which are which. We don't even know all the creative teams for all of these yet.
Yeah.
So more to come on that. But you can be sure that as these come out, we will definitely be covering all of them. I have high hopes for everything here.
Yeah. We've heard about some of these that aren't listed here, like Scott Snyder did mention, like you said, the Jonah Hex.
Yeah.
We know that Adam Hughes is going to be back doing covers for Zatanna.
Yeah.
Like he did way back with like the Paul Dini run, which is really cool. What is in store for Shadow of the Bat? I mean, that's
No idea.
There's some of these are like Barbara Gordon Breakout.
Yeah.
That's such a like that title feels story first.
Yeah,
You know,
that's probably going to be a mini series too. I
I
say,
would
but
think
yeah,
so. But you know, it's interesting. It's not Batgirl breakout.
yep,
It's Barbara Gordon. So I feel like that. I'm really, you know, there's something that I'm just like so interested in
yeah,
of like what is this going to be about, and you know, with next level, who knows what the next event or whatever
yeah,
that's going to kind of come later on in the year will be. But all of these I'm excited for. I'm going to read all of
yep,
them. And you know, like you see in the that second slide, some of the names attached to them. We know some of them, but we also know some are writing multiple things.
yeah,
So we'll have to wait and see. But you know, this is going to be one of the first things this year that we get to
yeah,
with Lobo and all of those hitting in
yeah,
just a couple
yep.
months. Well, and then next up, the Absolute books, and with this one, we know about Absolute Catwoman, which is going to be a mini series.
That's
It's like
right.
5 issues, I
I
think,
think they said six,
6 issues.
Yeah,
But this is
maybe
going to
it'll
be
be six that goes to 12 that goes to ongoing. Who
yeah.
knows? I don't know.
But you know, this is interesting because it's the first that's I don't want to say it's a spin-off, but it's set within the universe of another one.
Yeah.
You know, because all of them so far have felt very like
Oh,
kind of
they're completely not disjointed in a bad way, but like they don't
they're,
talk to
they're
each
their own
other.
little separate
Yeah.
islands of even style and everything. But this is the first one that's kind of creeping in here into you know the new Batman, the new Gotham area of the Absolute Universe, and I think that's cool because also that gives me hope that we may see other characters
Mm-hmm.
you know from the other books kind of get a spotlight because I really like this idea of having um, a few ongoing, like what we have now. And you know, Absolute Martian Manhunter has been extended,
Yeah.
but I like the idea that you know we can cycle through some mini series and get to spotlight some characters that
Yep.
maybe don't need an ongoing series, but can get a really cool spotlight with a
Yeah.
mini
Yeah,
series.
for sure. Yeah. I really like what we did see of Absolute Catwoman in the pages of Absolute Batman. Basically, they said she's kind of like the Bruce Wayne Batman of this universe. She's the one with the money and the tech and all that stuff. So I loved her in the Abomination storyline, and I can't wait to see her in her own book. Plus, I predicted this a long time ago, so I just gotta put that out there. You got to let me have this one, but they had said that we had our 6 books, and I was like, I think there's 2 more, and I said I think one of them's going to be Absolute Catwoman because they went to great lengths to not really show her,
Yeah.
even like in flashbacks to Bruce's childhood, she was never really around much until she popped up and they announced the book, and I was like, hey, let me ask me what the lottery numbers are, and I can tell you.
Yep. And we'll get, I think when we get to the end of talking just about the DC and the end of the Marvel, we can have some of our crazy predictions.
Yeah,
Because, you know, what else is in store for
yeah.
the Absolute Universe?
Well, this is in store for the Absolute Universe, so Absolute Green Arrow, and every time I would get asked what book would you like to see in the Absolute Universe next, I always said Green Arrow, and now we're going to get it. Now, this is also going to be a mini series.
Hmm.
Um, and when they announced it, I was super excited, and then I read Absolute Evil, and I was like, okay, then what is this series going to be? Because maybe Green Arrow's not around anymore. And so, yeah, they haven't really talked about this in a while. Uh, I'm sure it's still, I mean, it's not like it's not going to happen. They just
Yeah.
haven't given us any new news. But I do have a question. I was like, all right,
Then
well,
what is it going to be
what is
about?
this going to be about? Because Green Arrow didn't have such a good day in the Absolute Evil one shot. I do wonder if maybe this miniseries is going to be the story of what he went to do in
Hmm.
Absolute Evil before Absolute Hawkman put the kibosh on him. Maybe it's that story. Maybe the end of the miniseries is that final fight with
Hmm.
Hawkman. Or maybe it's not even Oliver Queen at all, because in that one shot he was talking to Roy Harper, or he at least mentioned Roy.
Hmm.
So maybe like Roy Harper takes up the mission that Oliver Queen was going to go on. I don't know, but I'm just happy that we're getting it though. I'll take whatever they want to give us.
Yeah, yeah, this is going to be really cool.
Yo.
And then next up, we've got another one that we know is coming up. This is also in March
Yeah, it is in
because I
March. Uh
believe it's
huh.
all in the previews book.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, our next of the DC Marvel crossover events with Superman, Spider-Man, and I this one may be my most anticipated out of any of the ones they've
All of
announced
yeah.
so far.
Hmm.
One, because of the creative team, also because it's just the characters that are chosen. You know, Batman Deadpool is fine. I'm not the biggest Deadpool fan. I do like Batman, but this, harkens back to the original
Yeah.
crossover with the
Yeah.
two.
Well, it's celebrating the 50th anniversary of the original Superman versus Amazing Spider-Man team up book from 1976, the facsimile of which is out today.
Yep.
So if you've never read that, go get it because it's such a good story with you've got classic creators. I think it was Ross Andrew that did the art if I'm not mistaken. So it looks so classic. And yeah, so now we're getting new stories. And plus so I've seen some people complain about this because they say that well, I wish the whole book was just this and not this and a bunch of smaller backups. But what I like about the backups in this is that they are Spider-Man or Superman adjacent
Yeah, they're
characters like
family members.
yeah, like Lois and Mary Jane
Mhm.
or Uncle Ben and Pa Kent. It's not just like random like Nightwing and Laura Kinney. Not that was my favorite story of
Yeah.
the issue though. But I like that it's still the extra stories we're getting still relate to this, and I want to see the discussion between Uncle Ben and Pa Kent,
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm over the moon excited for this. We know we're getting a Spider-Man Superman published by Marvel, and that's coming in April, but we don't know anything about that
Yeah.
yet. We don't know creative teams or backup stories, nothing like that yet. So this is what we know now. This is the DC one. And yeah, so these are two of my favorite characters, so I can't wait to see them meet again. Maybe they'll reference the time they met 50 years ago.
That would
I
be
don't know,
great.
but this is going to be fun.
Yeah, this is gonna be a lot of fun, and yeah, we'll speculate what else we might be getting from the crossover. But
Hmm.
I'm really interested in also just all the great creative teams they have on
Yeah.
this. Well, before we move on, what's your crazy? You don't like to speculate
No, I'm not a theory crafter really, but speculating for
for
DC.
DC.
I don't know. I mean, I think we'll get a new event.
Yep.
It's not gonna be a reboot, but there might be something crazy with Superman because apparently
Yeah.
he's missing after DCKO and Superboy Prime's gonna fill that slot for a while. So I don't know. I don't have any crazy predictions really. There's just no telling. I mean, the sky's the limit at DC. I feel like
Yeah, I think we'll be getting more announcements of more books. I think maybe we'll get our first maybe absolute event.
possibly.
Not like a big one, but like a that brings Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman
Yeah, I was
together.
gonna say I do feel like we'll at least two other absolute characters will meet.
Yeah,
Even at the minimum, they'll meet in the same way that Wonder Woman and Batman met. I feel like maybe we'll get the announcement of another absolute book, or maybe the first appearance of another absolute character, like Absolute Aquaman, maybe
yeah,
something like that in the pages of one of the existing books. I think it'll be something like that. They're not gonna. The absolute universe is on fire right
yeah.
now, so they're not gonna let that
I
thing
think
cool off.
and I think they're also being very careful with it
Yeah.
to not let it get out of hand
Yep. Which
and
is
like
smart.
to
Yeah.
not like kind of oversaturate to the
Yeah.
market where it's the quality dips or anything. I think they're gonna still try to keep it to a pretty core a core number of books like the ones that are currently coming out.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like 2026 as we get further maybe a year of publisher crossovers because we talked about the boss fight issue for
Yeah.
KO. We've got the Superman, Spider-Man, and Spider-Man, Superman. I don't think we've seen the last of that. I think maybe after the boss fight, we could see a Wonder Woman Red Sonja book. A 5 issue
Yeah.
miniseries by a creative team. Not like event based, but kind of
It's a
like,
good
hey,
story.
now the
Yeah.
doors are open.
Yeah.
We can work together. And I think maybe, they'll take a page out of the Ninja Turtles book and they'll be like, we can meet
We can do
whoever.
anything. Yeah.
But yeah, it is like you said, it's a little hard to tell this early in the year what's in store, but I think 2025 for DC was maybe the most like 2024 was like setting up some
Hmm.
of the big stuff. 2025 was a big like, hey, now everyone's on board with us. Now 2026, we can kind of reap the benefits of
Yeah.
that now that we have back in like good graces with people and we can bring
Yeah.
more interesting stuff.
Yeah, good graces. We, DC. I feel like DC said we've proven ourselves.
Yeah.
We're on the right path now. Now let's have fun with it.
Yeah.
Who wants to collaborate? It's almost like content creators. Hey, who wants to do something together? Let's just have fun. And DC. A lot of the stuff. We talked about on the. In a flash video that we just recorded, we're getting like a crossover with DC and the AEW, and there's the DCKO boss fight book, and all of this stuff it's super silly, but it's fun, and
Yeah.
that's what comics are supposed to be. It's just, don't worry about making sense of it or rationalizing it, just have fun with it. And I feel like DC is now just like, hey, IDW, Dark Horse, who wants to have some fun, let's just play in this big
Yeah.
sandbox. And yeah, I'm down for all of that stuff.
Do you have a singular book that you're most looking forward to?
Probably Firestorm. I really want that Firestorm book.
I am really excited, and I'm a fine Lobo fan, but I think the creative team they have
Oh my
on
gosh.
it,
Yeah, Daniel Warren Johnson and Jorge Corona are a dynamic duo,
Yeah.
and them doing Lobo, oh my god.
yeah, I think that's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
Well, now let's move on to new Marvel books for 2026, and this is going to be a really interesting one.
Yeah.
Because, I think with DC we know, kind of what their forward facing thing is right now. It's these classic characters, new stories, but these core characters that you know and love.
Yeah.
Marvel has been going through some weirdness where you did have a lot of weird shakeups, but now we are getting a sense that maybe they're following suit a little bit with Iron Man and Daredevil
Yeah.
and the way Fantastic Four's been.
Mhm.
So we're gonna start off with Daredevil #1, which we
Yep.
just talked about on our comics to pre-order in a flash show,
Yeah.
but this does fall under that umbrella.
Yeah, FOC this weekend. So yeah, definitely let your shop know. I'm over the moon excited for this. Stephanie Phillips, I like a lot of her stuff. I love Lee Garbett's work on this.
Yeah.
Stephanie Phillips has been talking about this a lot on TikTok, and I just like I get sucked into those videos. She and Lee Garbett are close friends,
Mm-hmm.
so they're in constant communication with each other about this. They are. It's not that she's just writing and he's just drawing. They are communicating about this thing together,
Which is rarer than you think.
yeah.
That they
So
actually communicate.
I remember, yeah, you told me about some stuff you've worked on. Like, oh, so what do you guys? Oh, it's just emails. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, you don't,
or
guys
you don't even talk to the writer. Doesn't even talk to the artist. The artist doesn't
Yeah.
talk to the writer.
Well,
You just talk to the editor.
That's not the case here. They are doing this together, and I think that is you're going to see that in the book. I love that Matt Murdock is getting back into the law arena. He's not going to be a lawyer, but he's going to be a law professor. So I didn't love him. Matt Murdock is a lawyer. Clark Kent is a reporter, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So I didn't love him being a priest because that just felt like that's not Matt Murdock. So he's going to be back in the law field. She has mentioned that Foggy Nelson's going to be a part of it, and that he is happy, and that he won't die. There's going to be new villains, but also classic villains as well. So yeah, this thing, I think this is going to be another fantastic Daredevil run. After the previous one wasn't my favorite, but I think that she is going to return him to glory. And like you'll see in a couple more books we're going to talk about, like you said too. I feel like Marvel's had a bit of a rough year in 2025, and even a couple of years before that. But DC, they had their all-in initiative, right? And that's
Yeah.
where you got the Absolute Universe. That's where you got more like creator-focused books and things like that. I don't know that Marvel has an initiative like that to sort of right the ship, but I do think there are lots of glimmers of hope, I guess, with Marvel. Like, we've already got Fantastic Four, which feels so classic. Chip Zdarsky has brought Captain America back to, the level that he should be at, boots on the ground, fighting the good fight. And now, with Daredevil, this feels like a return to form. We're going to talk about a couple more that feel like a return to the classic versions of these characters. So I feel like maybe Marvel's not being as so grandiose, but about riding the ship, but I feel like there are signs there that if you just stay on this course and keep doing this with more of your most classic characters, then things will be okay. Like I'm optimistic with bits and pieces of Marvel here and there, and probably more
Yeah.
so than a lot of people are.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things that like the Wolverine book that came out this week was like, this is a good Wolverine book.
Yeah,
Like
it's just
this is a good direction to take this. Like there is those that aren't even like number ones or whatever, but you get glimmers of like, this is what this book, like this
yeah,
is its identity it needs to keep
yeah.
going with. And continuing on with that is Iron Man number one.
This is probably the best example of that, I think.
And I think it's one of the most surprising things bringing Joshua Williamson on to write
Yeah.
it, who was such a core architect
Mm-hmm.
of DC All In and DC for the past few years, setting him up for success.
Yeah.
Now him coming over here, not that he's leaving DC,
Right.
but
Or
lending,
Image. He's still doing GI Joe as well.
yeah, but lending, his services, that really, it makes me wonder, but also gives me hope about what conversation did Joshua Williamson and Marvel have that gave him the kind of like, okay, I will take this on,
Yeah.
because he doesn't need to go over to Marvel. He's got plenty of great stuff going on
Oh
at
yeah.
DC. So what is it about Iron Man and kind of the he wouldn't come over if Marvel's like, you're gonna write Iron Man, but here's the 10 bullet points you've got to hit with the
Right.
character, and you got to set him up for him appearing in a movie, and you got to do. It's like, no, it seems like he would only come over if he did have some freedom with this character.
Yeah, I trust him. There's I love I don't think there's anything of his that I haven't loved. So in Joshua Williamson I trust. So if he thinks that this is worthy enough, or if they gave him the reins to tell the story he wanted to tell, if this is good enough for him, it's good enough for me.
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm trying to say. Plus, we're and this mostly this is the one, this is the poster child for it. This feels like the classic character. We're getting Tony Stark Iron Man. He's got a mustache again, not a goatee. War Machine is in it. There's a double page spread of this where you see War Machine in a very classic looking armor. We're getting Pepper Potts is coming back. Madam Mask and AIM, who are big time Iron Man villains. There's going to be a little mystery with Citizen V from the Thunderbolts, or at least that's where that character originally showed up. It was originally Baron Zemo, but there's a mystery of who is Citizen V and what are they doing. So that's going to be a little hook that keeps you coming back. So this, just from what we've read, and
even the logo, the logo is
yeah.
so classic that it feels like, they are definitely hearkening to a very classic age of Iron Man. And it's not that feeling of like it was all better back then, but it's one of those of periodically you need to, run and tag home base. You
Yeah.
need to, like, a character needs to kind of get back to a kind of their if an Iron Man toy comes out, he's going to look like this Iron Man.
Yeah.
You need to get back to a recognizable core of the character, like we saw with Joshua Williamson writing Superman. It can be all new stories,
Yep.
new characters, everything, but get the core of the character right. And I feel like that's what this is getting back to the core of the character.
Yeah, if he does for Iron Man what he did for Superman, then oh my gosh, this is going to be Marvel's best book. Carmen Carnero on artwork, I love her work. She is so great. So they are putting top tier talent on this book. We've already seen some there are pages publicly available that you can look at that look so awesome, and AIM is up to something nefarious. Like, this just feels like classic. This feels like this could be Marvel's flagship book going forward, and then this is the model, and that's exactly what DC did with Superman. I feel like with Joshua Williamson's Superman, they put so much emphasis on that and getting that character right, and then everything else once you got Superman right, everything fell into place. I feel like if you get Iron Man right, then maybe everything can fall into place too. And this is the end of this month. This is the end of January, so I'm really excited.
Yeah, once we read this, I think we're gonna have a better understanding
Yeah.
of a lot of Marvel going forward.
And then this is another example of, Punisher, Frank Castle, the character of Punisher has been a little weird for a couple of years. With, him leading the Hand, and then there was the Shield guy that
he
came
was in
in.
Hell for a while, or
Yeah.
Weird World. He went through some very like supernatural, not very traditional Punisher stuff.
And now we've got the Punisher Red Band series, which was always going to be just a 5-issue miniseries, but that returned Frank Castle proper. He's got the white skull. We always talk about he's even got the white gloves and the white boots. The Red Band series is a little bit weird because he's kind of under Kingpin's mind control. He just broke out of that in the most recent issue, but this is the ongoing series right here. Benjamin Percy is writing. Jose Luis Suarez is an amazing artist who I think is still kind of an unknown, but he did the last few issues of the previous Daredevil run. You should go back and look at those if you haven't seen them yet, because I think that he is going to blow up this year.
Mhm.
He is an amazing, amazing artist. He is going to make Punisher look so cool. We don't really quite know the big story of this one yet, but Punisher's memories are fragmented. He's trying to put his life back together, but he's going to run into Jigsaw, which that's super classic. So
Yeah.
that again, it feels like the most classic version of a classic character with a great creative team. So yeah, this is just another example of that.
Yep. And then a big one,
Yeah.
and maybe the biggest unknown of
Yeah.
the year. I feel like this is as far as you can look out on the horizon, this is what you see that you don't know what is past this door.
Yeah.
So the Armageddon event at Marvel has so many elements that we do know about, but what it all is coming together to be, we have no idea.
Yeah. So this starts in June. I recorded a TikTok video about what I think this is going to be. I'm going to post that tomorrow. So hey, follow me if you don't already. But what I think, and this is kind of goes into predictions as well. What There's a lot of people who are like, "Oh, this is going to be a big Marvel reboot." Forget that. This is not going to be a big Universal reboot for Marvel. I would be willing to bet every comic book that I own that this will not be a reboot. What I do think this is going to be is maybe because I think that image of that guy with the cape holding the origin box, I think that's a big clue. What I think this is going to be is maybe the introduction of some kind of new villain or maybe a team of villains who get his or their powers from the origin boxes that maybe cause havoc for the world and the heroes have to do it. Although it also mentions that this is going to shake up the Avengers much in the same way that Avengers Disassembled did back like 20 years ago. So maybe the Avengers are gone. Maybe there's no Avengers, and
Yeah.
maybe there's like another team called Armageddon, or maybe there's a new hero, but it's a little bit weird, kind of like late 90s Thunderbolts, where actually they were villains, but they were pretending something like that. I think it's going to be some kind of new character or characters who get powers from the origin boxes, and the heroes are going to have to contend with that. That pose some kind of big world threat. That's what I think it's going to be. Chip Zdarsky writing it though,
Yeah.
I'm already sold. I trust Chip Zdarsky as well. So, um, we know that the Wolverine Weapons of Armageddon uh, mini series is going to sort of lead into this, and in that series, Wolverine finds out that the Weapon X program is alive and well. There's a corporation called Prime Warrior who is trying to create superpowered
Yeah.
individuals. So, I think it's going to be something like that. The Ultimate Universe ends in April, and this starts in June, so that there might be a little bit of connective tissue there.
I mean, yeah, everything involved around this is wild speculation
Yeah,
that, is any of the Ultimate Universe going to be the seeds of this? We don't know that, but we also don't know when the Ultimate Universe ends. Is it just the book is closed
yeah.
and everybody either dies or goes on their merry way? We don't know. Um, so I feel like a lot of this is also very dependent, and they probably won't say too much about it
Yeah.
until we reach the end of Ultimate Endgame. But yeah, we do. I mean, have they said it's the origin box? I mean, it's pretty
It's
obvious.
I mean, yeah, it's the origin box. I mean, that it's got to be. I think our first major clue will be
Free
Free
comic.
Comic Book
Yeah.
Day, or as Marvel calls it, Comic Book Giveaway Day on May 2nd, because Marvel is going to be putting out a free comic book that has something about this
Yeah.
in there. So that's going to mark your calendars for May 2nd. I think that's when we're going to know. That's like our next checkpoint for like, oh,
Yes.
now I have some more theories. But yeah, this is going to be, Marvel events always start big and they always fizzle out with a whimper. But doggone it, every time they announce one, I get excited, and every time they announce one, I want to read it, and I want to read this too.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm excited because of the creative teams in play. Uh, and it does feel maybe a little bit more grandiose than your typical Marvel event.
Yeah.
This is a little bit more cloak and dagger. We don't know as
Yeah.
much about this than we did like One World Under Doom that we can
Right.
kind of see
Yeah.
coming. This is a different thing. So
You know what's funny in the version of this video that we did last year, we talked about how we were excited for Imperial.
yeah.
And back then we only had an image like this where it just had the logo for Imperial, but the tagline for that was something about the end. This is the end of the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And now this says witness the origin of the end. It's like I don't think they're related, but it's
Yeah.
like, hey, Marvel, change up your your taglines a little bit.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments just what you think this is, because yeah, I don't think it's a line wide reboot. I think
No.
not that we're never gonna get one of those again, but I think we're at a place where that looks different.
Yeah.
When people say, "Oh, they reboot all the time," they really don't.
They don't.
Um,
Marvel has never rebooted their universe once ever.
yeah, so
Not ever.
they're not gonna start here.
No.
Well, I mean, we kind of talked about our wild speculations for
Yeah.
Marvel, but I do, like I said at the beginning, I do think it's a restructuring year,
Mhm.
and I do think they, for the most part, seem like they are, at least for a while, for their first few issues or whatever, we're gonna see some very classic, familiar looks
Yeah.
for characters and titles. Now, what does that mean for the X-Men? I don't know.
That's the area for me that needs the most work.
Yeah.
The X-Men is such a rich corner of the Marvel universe, and it needs some work. We're enjoying the main X-Men book,
Mhm.
but and like we said, we liked the latest Wolverine issue, but we'll have to see is the new Deadpool book. What's it going to be like? The new Cyclops, the new X-Force. Maybe that's all a return to classic too. But yeah, the X-Men I think is what needs the most.
And we are
Focus.
getting, it's not, we didn't have a slide for it, but the X-Men United, is that what
Oh,
it's
that's
called?
right. Yeah.
Kind of is trying to like set itself up as, it's not the Xavier school, but
Right.
it's being led by Emma Frost.
Yeah.
And, one of those like, it's not the same, but it does have kind of some of the same rings as the same. So, I'm interested
Yeah.
in what the X-Men were going to be doing for the new year.
Yeah, like I said, Marvel's been struggling, and the entire community's been talking about it, and we've had our own conversations about, I'm not loving a lot of this stuff, but like I said earlier, I do think there are some bright spots, and those are the things that I choose to focus on. Is the things that I think show promise. And we were talking about this earlier. Like I think that Marvel absolutely could still course correct. I do not think that they're too far gone. I think that maybe some of these books, Daredevil, Iron Man, Punisher, Captain America is already doing it. Fantastic Four. I think that those books can help as well. Plus, something that we forgot to mention too, real quick, is Philip Kennedy Johnson is now exclusive with Marvel, and when he posted a quick little video and just talking about it, he's like, hey, I'm really excited for this. He said that Marvel is working on some things that he has never been so excited for. Like he said that they're doing some things, like some big things that I'm insanely excited for, and he's got a great Hulk run, so I'm excited to see what happens with Hulk and maybe what things he was referring to. Maybe it's Armageddon, maybe it's something else, but just him saying that got me excited. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to find out.
Yeah. Again, yeah. On the other side of that Armageddon door is going to be, I think our next era for Marvel Comics, whatever that may look like. But there's other exciting things coming in 2026. So these are a bunch of things. It's not Marvel or DC. It's just a bunch of stuff that we are excited for.
Well, this is Marvel and DC both. So this is just a placeholder because we're excited for the possibility of other DC Marvel crossovers, just like Batman, Deadpool, Superman, Spider-Man. I think there's a possibility at least for one more. I just used one of the variants from the Batman, Deadpool book. Not necessarily these characters, but hey, give me a Wonder Woman one now. Give me a Wonder Woman in somebody. Give me a Wonder Woman in
Captain Marvel.
Although it doesn't have to be a woman, but give me your third character in the Trinity and put her with Thor, maybe would be
Mm-hmm.
cool. But actually, I would say give me a Wonder Woman Captain America, but we already got that story.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, Wonder Woman Thor or something. I don't know, but I think, like you said earlier, I think the door's open.
Yeah.
Hey, let's just
More than it's been
yeah.
in 30 years. That door is more comfortably open than I think it was before.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, hey, why not? Let's just keep doing this every few months. It's fun. Again, don't worry about rationalizing it. How in the world does Batman meet Deadpool? Who cares? It's fun. Don't worry about
And I
it.
think
Yeah.
it does a lot to alleviate the are you Marvel or DC
Yeah.
fighting. It
Right.
goes like if they're not fighting about it, you shouldn't fight about
Oh,
it.
that's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get some more of those.
Also, the return of Battle Beast,
Yeah.
Invincible Universe Battle Beast, and
This is the next issue right here.
This is the next issue. This is the Todd McFarlane
that's the one I'm
cover,
gonna order. Yeah.
which is awesome. I think it's just the B cover, but this is we're gonna be on a retailer call coming up with Robert Kirkman and the Skybound team, all about the Invincible Universe coming
Yeah.
up, and now that we've got Battle Beast. We've got Capes, and we don't know what Capes is going to be after it hits that, like, they're done retelling the story
Yeah.
that already been told. What's next?
Yeah, issue number 7 will be the first issue of whatever new story they're
Yeah.
going to tell in that book.
Yeah, so that's super exciting. I think we're also supposed to be talking about the game, the Invincible versus game, which I'm super excited
They
about.
released the cover for that, right? The Ryan Otley cover.
Yeah, the Ryan Otley cover. And I believe comic book stores are going to be able to order that book or order that game to be able to sell it, and there's an exclusive cover for the game at comic book stores.
Really? Okay.
So
I will do that.
Yeah, this is going to be super great.
Yeah.
I am so excited for not only Battle Beast, which is great, and we do know some of the big stuff we're getting into if you read the last issue and who they were kind of summoning. You know that we're in for an awesome time with this.
So you're the Invincible expert. Are there any other characters that maybe could also have a book like Battle Beasts and Capes? Is there a third one that we could maybe?
There is, classic. You've got Brit, which was a book I adored.
Oh, they could bring back Tech Jacket, maybe.
Tech Jacket,
yeah, or Wolfman, Astounding
Wolfman.
Yeah.
Any of those could be. If you want something that's tied closer in with Invincible, I think Alan the Alien would be a perfect character to have his own series. Robot and Monster Girl, and back in the day we had the Adam Eve and Rexplode mini series. I think any of these characters are primed for that.
You mentioned I love Monster Girl. I would love to see that, like a new story of that.
Yeah, and now I would love just how they did like World of Krypton books. Do a Viltrumite book.
Yeah,
and it's like the hierarchy of the Viltrumites and all of the members that are there. And
I love that World of Krypton story.
Yeah.
So they did that same thing with although the Viltrumites are they're all bad, right? So
but I don't know. I think there could be something there. Maybe Nolan's time as a Viltrumite, and maybe like his first early inklings of maybe I don't agree with everything that's going on here. But my wild prediction is I do think we're going to, and I don't know if we will or not, but I think maybe we'll get another Invincible Universe title book, whether it's ongoing or a mini series.
So that's what I was wondering.
I think it would be under Invincible Universe blank, and I would. Man, that's really hard, but I do think they would lean a little bit towards a character from Invincible. As much as I love the Guardians of the Globe characters, I think it would be somebody like an Alan or a I love Space Racer, and we haven't seen much of Space Racer, but he plays a big role later on in the series. I think it would be something like that, or I don't want to give anything away if people haven't read all of Invincible, but there's characters at the end of Invincible that definitely could have something.
Admittedly, I haven't read all of it, so no spoilers.
That's what keeps me from liking you a little bit more.
Well,
is not having read it.
And before we move on from this, just because the little Skybound logo made me think about that. There's still Transformers and GI Joe and Void Rivals and possibly Mask.
Yeah.
Which they've we know that at least Matt Tracker and Miles Mayhem are part of that universe, so maybe there's a book. They did tell us on a call we were on with them that they're not really. This was a maybe about a year or so ago, but they told us like we're not really going to do a Mask book right now. We want to keep the Energon universe tight. We don't want to get carried away with it, but they are introducing these characters, so maybe we'll get a Mask book,
Yeah.
or at least maybe this is the year that we get Snake Eyes. I don't know, but we're getting Roadblock in a couple more issues of GI Joe, so we don't have anything any graphics for the Energon universe, but we are looking forward to whatever the heck is going to come next because the Energon universe has been phenomenal since the jump. So whatever they give us next, I will consume till my eyes bleed. That's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, and
But
all this stuff too, even stuff of like Ghost Pepper continuing,
yeah.
all the new stuff Image has coming on. We have the
There's all the Ghost Machine books.
Dork, the
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
Brett Bean book we just
Yeah.
talked about. Like, Image is another one that I feel like is just still producing some of the highest quality stuff out there.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see what is next for that.
Well, we've got some movies and TV shows we want to talk about real quick
Which we don't always talk about on here. We try to keep it directly comic, but I do think they reflect each other.
Yeah, I mean, we do try to stick to comics because invariably, anytime there, especially nowadays, anytime there's a conversation about comic books, it always transitions into movies and stuff. And we love comic books, and that's what we want to talk about. But we're also a fan of the TV shows and the movies as well. So we want to talk about the ones we know about. First one being Wonder Man, coming out in just a couple weeks. Big question mark on this show. This isn't the Wonder Man that I read in the '90s anyway. But it looks like there's going to be less action than maybe I'm accustomed to in a Wonder Man story. But
it could be the premise is really fun.
Yeah,
and I'm here for that because
Yeah.
some of my favorite Marvel TV shows have been WandaVision or Hawkeye, ones that do have a little bit more humor to them.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and supposedly allegedly Wonder Man will be in the Vision Quest series, which we don't have on this show because we just don't know anything about it yet. But maybe getting a little bit of West Coast Avengers stuff in there. Give me some of that. But I don't know. I'm interested. I will watch any MCU TV show, movie, regardless of how good or bad it is. I don't know if it's good or bad until I watch it myself. So I will always partake of these things, and I'm looking forward to this to see what the heck is it.
Yeah, and like you're saying, I do think that conversation always goes from comics to movies. Like the movies are TV shows are superior to the comics. Like that's where we can make comics legitimate once they're a movie,
Right.
and that's not the case.
No, that's false. I mean, comics have the advantage because comics are not constrained. The comics don't have any constraints.
Yeah.
Other than the artist and the writer's imagination. Jack Kirby used to say something sort of close to that, but yeah, with TV and movies, it's like, well, do we have the budget? Is it possible to film this? Do we have the technology? Comics, you just do whatever you want. So to me, that's the superior storytelling medium.
Exactly. Well, the next up, I am very excited for. It took me a minute to really catch on with the last season of Daredevil.
Yeah.
But once we got some more Daredevil into it and everything, I was like, oh yeah, this is why I really like this.
Yeah. Yeah, and just Daredevil in the black suit, like with the I was gonna say with the double D's, but that sounds weird. But with the D on his chest, like I want to know this story. We're getting more Bullseye. I enjoyed the first season of Born Again. Maybe not as much as the other 3 Netflix seasons, but I will always watch Daredevil. I mean, I liked it well enough to definitely watch the new one.
Yeah.
Hopefully, there's a little bit more Daredevil. Hopefully, there's a little bit more action. That was my only real complaint with that. But I want to know this story. Why is he wearing the black suit? We saw in the first episode of Born Again, but
he's got a
whole like closet full of different suits. But
it's the opposite of Batman. Instead of a cave, he's got it on the top on the roof.
Yeah, right. I want to know the story why he gets the D's on there. Maybe it's hopefully it's something that he did and not just like some punk like put it on his shirt when he wasn't looking or something. I don't know, but
yeah. Next, all we need is him to get like the metal shoulder pads and do the whole.
Dude, you could do that. That could be like the base. You just need the red down here, the shoulders and the knees. And, dude, you could do that.
Well, and then of course Supergirl,
Yeah, this
which
is
very excited for.
so this is the first big movie, I guess. I think this is June. This is before Brand New Day, right? I believe. Yeah, I believe
I
this is
believe
before Spider
so
Man.
because we've also already got a trailer for this and not one for
Oh, that's
Spider-Man
right.
yet.
Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to this because I just after the so yeah we got a trailer. After the trailer, I went ahead and read Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, which I've been sort of been holding off on until we get closer to the movie because I wanted it to be fresh in my mind. I read it. I really enjoyed the story. I didn't super love the book
Yeah,
because there was mostly just because there was a whole lot of dialogue that you had to read through that didn't really like push the story forward. But I really liked the story. I love the artwork. I like what I like about Supergirl. What interests me about this movie is this is a very atypical setting. Like when you
hmm
get a Superman movie, he's always in Metropolis. We got a bunch of Avengers movies and they were in New York, or Spider Man, he's in New York. This is Supergirl like having a space adventure.
hmm
Like we don't get like atypical superhero movies. They're always in their normal setting fighting normal, their normal villains, but this is outside of all that.
yeah, and this is our next step into the bigger new DC
Yep.
cinema world. And with the success of Superman, I
Mhm.
just feel like this is gonna open up even more awesome pathways to uh, one, more people reading
Yep.
comics and getting excited about the Superman family and all that. So this
Yeah.
is this is really cool.
I loved the 2025 Superman movie. I'm sure I'll love this. I'm excited for Lobo to be in it. I think he'll only be in like a small part of the movie,
hmm
but that might be like a little tease for maybe if fans latch onto that, maybe he'll get his own movie at some point in the future. But yeah, I love, like I said, I love the story of Woman of Tomorrow, and I can't wait to see that translated into film.
Yep. Next up, this
Yeah,
is another one that we've only seen this image. We've seen the
there's been a little.
little trailer that's within a trailer.
Yeah, and that's what kind of drives me crazy is like, people are like kind of complaining about the Lanterns trailer, but it wasn't a trailer. It was just a few clips in a sizzle reel for a bunch of HBO shows,
Yeah.
right? So we don't, but I love Green Lantern, so I can't wait for this.
Yeah, I don't like the Green Lantern trailer. It had too much Game of Thrones in
I
it.
know,
It's
right?
like, well, I mean, it was, yeah, it was nothing. But I'm very excited about this. One, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, it should be in space and stuff,
Yeah.
but I do think this is a really cool idea, and I do like a lot of Green Lantern on Earth, kind of doing like Green Lantern almost detective work.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I always liked and even now, yes, Green Lantern's a space cop. He should be in space, but every time there's an issue where he is on Earth, I kind of like smile inside because, like,
Yeah.
I like my Green Lantern being more of a superhero than a space cop. I like Green Lantern being on Earth and doing that kind of stuff. And so, I do hope that we do get some costumes and some
Yeah.
constructs and things like that. I hope it's not too much the other way, but I love Kyle Chandler here. He was in my favorite TV show, Friday Night Lights. So I just the only thing I hope is like everything that I've seen him in, he has always been very stoic. He always plays like a stressed out dad with the weight of the world on his shoulders. I hope he plays Hal Jordan as a cocky fighter pilot. That's
Yeah.
the only thing. But I wouldn't have necessarily cast him as Hal Jordan. But because he's a little bit older.
Mhm.
I'm old too, but he's a little bit older. But if they're going for that Great Temples era Hal Jordan, then it could work fine.
Is Kyle Chandler going to become Parallax? Is
Oh,
he
that
good?
would be
I mean,
that would be cool.
uh,
And then this Adrian is his name, or Aaron Pierre.
yeah,
I just finished watching the new season of the Morning Show on Apple TV, and he was in that season. I really like this guy a lot, so I can't wait to see him as Jon Stewart.
yeah. This is gonna be really exciting. I hope we get Kilowog at some
Yeah,
point.
lots of unknowns around this one
Yeah,
too, but I'm over the moon excited for this as well.
and this
Yeah,
guy.
who is that guy?
Oh, I
Spitter.
should have put a note on
Yeah,
there.
Ant Man. Yeah, Spider-Man Brand New Day. So I love this because this image came from like they're just like filming in the street
Yeah,
and people are just recording and they're not like taking it down, like they're being very, I guess they're being very open about it, whereas
yeah.
normally like a lot of Marvel stuff is hush hush behind closed doors. So there's still a lot of questions about what's the story going to be and who is Sadie Sink going to play. It's not going to be Jean Grey or Rachel Summers. Forget about that. But I do, I don't know, man. More Spider-Man. We're getting the Punisher.
Yeah,
I'm just
this one
excited for this.
I don't know anything about. I haven't watched any leaked anything.
Yeah,
All the images I see are just the ones that kind of naturally
yeah,
come in front of my eyes. So I'm excited because I don't know
yeah.
anything about it.
I did watch the leak trailer, but it's not worth watching because it's so fuzzy and it's so small. You can hear what they're saying, but you can't really make out a lot of the images and stuff. So I'll just wait for a trailer. We got the Super Bowl coming up in like a month, so maybe that's when we're getting a lot
Yeah.
of this stuff. But I don't know, more Spider-Man movies. That's yeah. Oh, you're doing another Spider-Man movie? Okay, I'll watch it. I'll be
I'll
there.
be there.
Yeah, I'll be there night one, no problem.
And this one, which is another crazy one, is
Yeah,
Clayface.
yeah.
This was when it was announced. I mean, Clayface is one of my favorite DC characters,
Hmm.
like the Basil Carlo giant man made of mud, which I do hope we
I
get
do
to.
hope we see that at some point. Yeah,
But that this is, feels um almost a little bit more like, not that it's set within the Batman, but it does have the feeling of like a little bit more mature
yeah. Well,
story.
now this is DCU.
But it is
Yeah.
DCU. Yeah, but I'm saying like the look of it stuff, it's not like bright,
Oh, right, right.
flashy.
Well, and James Gunn said, not all these movies, a lot of these movies are going to feel different.
Yeah,
Just like you have horror movies and rom coms and stuff. These movies are going to have different tones, and this is going to lead more towards horror.
yeah,
Yes, please do that.
yeah,
But yeah, when they announced this, I was like, Clayface. I mean, okay, I'll watch it. I'm not going to judge it, but a little bit of a head scratcher. But yeah, it's a comic book movie. I'll watch it.
yeah. I'm very excited about this one because I just love Clayface.
Yeah.
But the idea that we're getting a Clayface movie before a Batman movie, I think is great. I
A
think that's
little
really,
weird, a
I think
little
it's
weird, but
cool.
yeah.
Just I don't need another Batman movie. Just keep giving me weird
Just
rogues
just
gallery.
just make Clayface take the appearance of Batman.
Yeah.
That's all I need. He could be everybody. And then there's the Grand Poobah.
The one that I feel like the most is riding on.
Yeah.
Um, this. And what can you say about this that hasn't already been said or speculated about?
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm excited for it. I'm a little hesitant about it because they were obviously going in one direction with Kang, and then poof, it was just gone, and
Yeah.
now they're bringing in Doom, and it's Robert Downey Jr. It's like, what is he going to be, Tony Stark, or I think he's actually playing Victor Von Doom,
Yeah.
which is weird. Um, as long as I just make, I don't care. Just make him the king of Latveria.
Yeah.
We've had like 3 movies with Doctor Doom, and he's never sitting on a throne in a castle in
Yeah.
Latveria. Give me that, and everything else will be fine. So,
And it is funny that there's this Avengers Doomsday, but then we have Secret Wars right behind it.
yeah.
But all the stuff for Doomsday looks like it would be a Secret Wars thing. It's like, look at all the characters coming back for it. Look at all this.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like
Unless it's
uh,
like, Doom is posing some kind of threat, and you got the Fantastic Four and the X-Men Thunderbolts, they try to beat him and they don't. And somehow the world gets destroyed, and there's like a battle world thing in Secret Wars. And see, this is why I don't like a theory craft, because you could think about this stuff all day long and still be 100% wrong. So it's like, what's the point in trying to figure out what this movie is? I'll just wait until the movie comes out and I'll go watch it.
yeah,
I don't care about trying to figure it out. I'll just wait.
we're getting drip fed all the little teasers, and I watched
Yeah.
the X-Men one.
The X-Men one, yeah.
I'm just really happy Cyclops is wearing the blue and yellow.
Yeah.
That's all I need from this. But
I'm just happy Cyclops, at least for that, is Cyclops in that one trailer got more. What do the kids call it? Aura? He had more aura than any of the other X-Men movies, and the Sentinel walking behind him. I just hope it's not like he's in the first 5
it's
minutes.
the X3 thing where it's like
Yeah.
Cyclops is Cyclops died.
Oh, he's died. Yeah, I want him to be in the full movie, but
And I think, casting wise, I've always thought maybe James Marsden is one of the best casting for a character as Cyclops. Like, he is so Scott Summers. That people talk about Hugh Jackman, whatever. I mean, James Marsden is Scott Summers is so good.
I would, we've had so many Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, movies like, and he's great. But at this point, I'd rather see, James Marsden Cyclops, not necessarily a solo movie because Cyclops doesn't really lend himself to solo stories, although we are getting that new
Yeah.
miniseries. But give me an X-Men movie with, well, I don't know. We're kind of past the Fox X-Men now, but I wish we had a proper X-Men movie with James Marsden Cyclops front and center.
Yeah.
Because yeah, he's great. I love
Flying the
him.
Blackbird
Yeah.
with I know they had that in the movies too, but like him wearing the blue and yellow with
Mm-hmm.
Storm and Wolverine and
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler and
Yeah.
Colossus
Yeah.
and so yeah, Avengers Doomsday.
Everybody and their brother's gonna go watch this. It
Yeah.
doesn't, there's no point. Did you see the leaked fourth trailer? I
Mm-mm.
sent it to you on TikTok, but I watched the leaked trailer of that too. It's cool, but it also doesn't really show anything. So it's like, but yeah, I mean, what else can you say about Doomsday? Everybody's gonna see it. And then the discourse around that could
Yeah.
be good or
So when
bad.
is Secret Wars then next year?
It's like a year after this.
It's kind of doing the Infinity
Yeah, Infinity War
or
Endgame thing.
yeah.
And
So
then what comes after that? Does the MCU get rebooted? Maybe. I don't know.
yeah, that's one that I think maybe has a higher probability of being recast
Yeah.
or whatever. So I don't know. I'm so not. I can talk about comics all day. When it comes to movies and TV shows, I am so in the dark about what is.
I check out completely.
Yeah,
I get, I live stream on TikTok a couple times a week and people always ask, who's your, what do you think Doomsday's going to be about? I don't know. Who's your fan cast for the DCU Batman? I don't care. I don't do that stuff. I just wait until it's
yeah.
announced and I have no
I,
interest in,
I thought you were about to say, and I was going to agree. I have nothing to do with it.
yeah, right.
Like I can't sway it one way or another.
Yeah.
And like you said, with like theory crafting, it's fun for a little bit, but when you start, I'm in the Star Wars universe. When you start creating the story in your head that you think you're gonna get, and it's not that, you all have a hard time even seeing that it's good or not because it's not what you thought it was, and
That's the
that can
problem.
ruin it
Yeah.
for you.
That's the problem I think is, people can't differentiate once they have that story, they're like, "Oh, this is the story." Well, no, that story was never promised to you. I did that with Game of Thrones season 8. And let me tell you, my story was so far different than the one we got. And I think that's actually what burned me a little. That's what sort of like jolted me awake and be like, "Oh, they never promised me that. That's just
Yeah.
what I made up." So,
Well, when you started talking about Alien and Predator in Westeros,
yeah, that's right.
I didn't think
I
we were
thought
gonna
it could
get
happen.
that.
I thought it could happen. But yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I'm excited for this movie, but
AVPGOT.
I'm excited for this, but whatever it's going to be is what it's going to be, and then we'll just go from there. I don't think the MCU necessarily needs a reboot. I think like just James Bond it. It's like, oh, well, just Robert Downey Jr.'s getting a little old for Tony Stark. Okay, just recast it. Don't even mention it. Just
Yeah, I think it's
I don't know why we need stories about why a character looks different when they've literally recast James Bond for the last like 60 years and nobody bats an eye. Just James Bond it with Captain America and Iron Man and
I
everybody.
think also it's just like if you have different I think I was thinking of it more when it was you had Robert Pattinson playing Batman and then we're gonna have somebody
Yeah.
different playing Batman. It's like I don't know, there's different artists that draw Batman different ways. I
Yeah.
still know it's Batman.
Yeah, it's still
Like
Batman.
it doesn't I can see the character you say that's Batman. I go, okay,
Okay.
that's cool.
I would like a story that tells me how the X-Men and Fantastic Four join with everybody else. I want that story, and then after that, whoever's playing them is irrelevant. It's like now they're all together.
Yeah.
I don't need a reboot. I just need them to come together. But then we'll go from there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was comics from the far future and some movies and TV shows.
Yep.
But like you see, like we have stuff to talk about, but in the same way we don't have stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
A lot of this is anywhere from at least for the comics, like coming up in a couple of weeks to June. Do we have anything for July yet? Do we know?
No. We
So
know that.
that's as far as
Yeah,
we've.
Armageddon is the furthest thing out, and that's June, and we know nothing about it because it's so far out. So really, March is like the is our line for knowing stuff.
Yeah, but I think it is going to be fun over the next weeks and months as we get different cons, as we get,
Yeah.
just other announcements to try to, start putting together what is 2026 for the comic universe
Hmm.
and what kind of identity is it going to have. And it'll be fun at the end of this year to looking back and be like, man, we had no idea
Yeah.
about this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's always great. It's always a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see what is next.
Hmm.
So, if you liked little special videos like this of us kind of talking a little bit, not that we're scripted, we know for sure that we're not scripted.
Yeah.
We would do a lot better if we
Wait,
were scripted.
we've had a script this whole time. I've never seen it.
I know
I've
I've
never
had to
used it.
improv and like you didn't
Yeah.
say the line.
Oh man.
But if you like stuff like this, more off the cuff and more discussional and everything about comics and the comic world and all of that, let us know in the comments because we love doing extra stuff like this. And
Yeah.
hopefully 2026 will have a lot more of it. But let us know in the comments also what you're most excited about, your thoughts and hopes and
Yeah.
dreams. Let us all know.
What did we miss? What did we not put on this list? Because I know there's some stuff, but I can't think of it right now.
Yeah, there's plenty, and we'll know plenty more as the weeks unfold.
Mhm.
So, thank you so much for watching. Again, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Head over to infinityflux.net. Look around there, make your pre orders, do all that fun stuff. And until next time,
See ya.